The Day Aliens Discovered Why You Never Challenge Humans, Part 1. The stars shimmered against the blackness of space as Commander Samantha Green stared out the main viewport of the Earth Alliance vessel Defiant. She had spent most of her life among the stars, but their beauty still caught her breath sometimes. 20 years of human space exploration had changed so much back home. Nations had put aside their differences to face the vast unknown together. "Commander, we're picking up unusual energy readings at the edge of the system," said Lieutenant Frank Miller, his eyes fixed on the glowing displays at his station. Samantha straightened her uniform. "Can you identify the source?" "No, ma'am. It's nothing like we've seen before. Definitely not Arcturian or Centauri technology." This caught Samantha's full attention. In 2 decades of expansion, humanity had encountered only 2 other intelligent species. Both had been peaceful and less advanced than humans. They had shared knowledge and resources, creating bonds of friendship across the stars. Could it be a natural phenomenon? She asked, moving to look over Frank's shoulder. "I don't think so. The pattern is too regular, too controlled." Samantha nodded. "Alert the crew. Yellow status. I want everyone at their stations." The Defiant hummed with activity as crew members responded to the alert. Samantha felt the familiar mix of excitement and caution that came with possible first contact. Their mission was to explore, to find new civilizations, but also to protect Earth's interests. "Commander," called Communications Officer Lisa Jones, "the energy readings are intensifying. Something big is happening out there." The main viewport suddenly filled with blinding light. When it faded, Samantha found herself staring at a massive ship. It seemed to have appeared from nowhere, as if it had torn a hole in space itself. The alien vessel was at least 3 times larger than the Defiant, with a hull that gleamed with shifting colors like oil on water. "Shields up," ordered Samantha, "but keep weapons powered down. We don't want to appear hostile." The crew watched in silence as the massive ship hung in space before them. Its design was unlike anything in human records, all sharp angles and strange protrusions that seemed to serve no clear purpose. "Open a channel," said Samantha, straightening her uniform again. First impressions mattered. She cleared her throat and spoke clearly. "This is Commander Samantha Green of the Earth Alliance vessel Defiant. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly relations." The silence stretched for nearly a minute. "No response, Commander," said Lisa. "Try again. Send the message on all frequencies and include the first contact package." The first contact package was standard procedure, a collection of basic information about humans, Earth, and the Alliance, designed to help new species understand who they were dealing with. Before Lisa could send the message again, the alien ship moved. It was surprisingly fast for something so large. Multiple points on its hull began to glow with an ominous purple light. "They're powering weapons," shouted Security Chief Peter Ward. The warning came just in time. The Defiant shuddered as energy blasts struck its shields. The lights flickered across the bridge. "Shields at 82%, reported Peter. "That was just a glancing hit." "Evasive maneuvers," ordered Samantha. "Return fire. Warning shots only." The Defiant moved swiftly, its smaller size allowing it to dodge the next barrage. The ship fired its own weapons, deliberately missing the alien vessel but demonstrating that humans could defend themselves. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," said Lisa, her fingers moving quickly over her console. "The computer is trying to translate." A harsh, grating voice filled the bridge. The translation came through in broken phrases at first, then more clearly as the computer adapted. "Primitive species. Your territory has been claimed by the Varaxian Empire. Submit or be eliminated." Samantha felt a chill run down her spine. In all their exploration, humans had never encountered a truly hostile alien civilization. Until now. "This is Commander Green. There must be a misunderstanding. We don't seek conflict. We propose a peaceful dialogue to..." Another blast rocked the ship stronger this time. "Shields at 60%, called Peter. "They're not interested in talking, Commander. Full power to engines, ordered Samantha. Get us out of their weapon range. The Defiant surged forward, but the alien ship followed, continuing to fire. They're faster than us, said Frank. We can't outrun them. Samantha's mind raced. Plot? A course through the asteroid field. They're bigger. It will be harder for them to follow. As the Defiant weaved through the floating rocks, the alien ship slowed its pursuit. It fired several more times before breaking off the attack. They're retreating, said Peter, disbelief in his voice. No, said Samantha grimly. They're letting us go. They could have destroyed us if they wanted to. The alien transmission came again. Run back to your homeworld, humans. Tell your leaders that the Varaxian Empire has arrived. You have 3 of your Earth months to prepare your surrender. Any resistance will result in the complete destruction of your species. The transmission ended abruptly. The bridge fell silent as the crew processed what they had just heard. Damage report, said Samantha finally. Minor damage to decks 3 and 4. 3 crew members with light injuries. FTL drive is still operational, reported Peter. Set course for Earth. Maximum speed, ordered Samantha. And prepare all records of this encounter for immediate transmission to Alliance headquarters. As the Defiant sped toward home, Samantha remained on the bridge, staring at the stars. She had always believed that humanity's greatest test would come from the vastness of space or the challenges of colonizing new worlds. Instead, it had come in the form of an advanced, hostile species that viewed humans as nothing more than an obstacle to be removed. What the Varaxians didn't understand. What they couldn't understand was that humans had faced extinction before. From ice ages to plagues to their own destructive tendencies, humans had always found a way to survive. They had 3 months to prepare, 3 months to show these aliens that humanity would not go quietly. The Varaxians had made a critical mistake. They had assumed that technological superiority meant certain victory. They knew nothing about human tenacity or creativity, nothing about humanity's long history of overcoming impossible odds. As Earth grew larger on the view screen, Samantha made a silent promise. This would not be the end of humanity's story. It would be the beginning of the Varaxians learning a painful lesson, one that countless others throughout history had learned too late. Never underestimate humans. The day aliens discovered why you never challenge humans. Part 2. Admiral Jack Moore stood before the Earth Alliance Council in the emergency meeting chamber. His weathered face showed the strain of 3 days without sleep. Behind him, the large screen displayed images of the Varaxian warship that had attacked the Defiant. Ladies and gentlemen of the Council, we face the greatest threat in human history, Jack said, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. Commander Green's encounter was not an isolated incident. We have reports of Varaxian ships appearing at the edges of all our settled systems. The room was silent. 50 representatives from Earth and its colonies sat around the circular table. Their faces showed fear, anger, and disbelief. Counselor Patricia Wells from the North American Coalition spoke first. What do we know about their capabilities? Jack pressed a button on his tablet. The screen changed to show technical data. Their technology is far beyond ours. Faster than light travel that doesn't seem to use normal space. Weapons that can cut through our best shields like paper. Sensor systems that can detect our ships from incredible distances. How many ships do they have? Asked another counselor. We don't know for certain. Our best guess is hundreds, possibly thousands. The room erupted in worried voices. Jack waited for them to quiet down. If they're so powerful, why haven't they simply destroyed us already? Asked Patricia. Why give us 3 months? Dr. Alan Russo stood up. As the Alliance's top expert on alien cultures, his insights were valuable. The Varaxians appear to be a species that values dominance and submission. Our analysts have studied their communications and ship movements. They don't just want our resources or our territory. They want our surrender. What do you mean? Asked Patricia. They see conquering other species as a ritual, almost a game. They issue challenges proving their superiority before claiming their prize. They expect us to use the 3 months to prepare our best defense, which they will then defeat to prove their right to rule us. General Olivia Nash, the youngest person ever to reach her rank, stood up from her seat at the far end of the table. Then we'll have to disappoint them, won't we? All eyes turned to her. Throughout our history, humans have faced enemies with better weapons, larger numbers, and more resources, she said, walking to the center of the room. And yet, here we are. We survived because we adapt. We think differently. We find ways to win when victory seems impossible. Jack nodded in agreement. General Nash is right. The Voraxians have given us their terms. They want us to select 3 champion vessels to face their ships in what they call the Proving. He displayed another image on the screen. 3 massive Voraxian warships, each larger and more intimidating than the one Commander Green had encountered. 3 challenges, 3 opportunities to show them that humans will not submit, Jack continued. If we win, they will recognize our right to exist as an independent species. If we lose, he didn't need to finish the sentence. What chance do we have against ships like that? Someone asked. General Nash smiled slightly. If we fight the way they expect us to fight, none. But that's not how humans win wars against superior enemies. She walked to the screen and pointed to the alien ships. The Voraxians evolved as pack hunters with rigid hierarchies. Every aspect of their society is built around clear rules and traditions. They literally cannot imagine that a technologically inferior species could defeat them. And that's their weakness, said Dr. Russo, nodding. They lack creativity. They follow patterns and protocols. They expect us to do the same. General Nash turned to face the council. I propose we create a special task force, not just our best military minds, but our most creative thinkers. Engineers, scientists, historians who understand how humans have defeated superior forces in the past. You want to win an impossible fight using, what, tricks? A counselor asked skeptically. I want to win using human ingenuity, Nash replied firmly. The one resource the Voraxians don't have. After hours of debate, the council approved General Nash's plan. They would prepare for the Proving while also quietly evacuating as many civilians as possible to hidden shelters deep within Earth's moon and Mars. 2 weeks later, the Survival Innovation Center opened in what had once been Silicon Valley. The massive complex became home to the brightest minds on Earth, all working toward one goal: finding a way to defeat an enemy that outclassed them in every conventional measure. Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter walked through the main hall, amazed by the activity around him. As one of Earth's top pilots, he had been summoned to test new ship designs and combat strategies. Impressive, isn't it? Said a voice behind him. Ben turned to see Dr. Sofia Martinez, whose groundbreaking work in quantum physics had earned her 3 Nobel Prizes before her 30th birthday. I've never seen so many brilliant people in one place, Ben replied. Sofia nodded. Come with me. I want to show you something. She led him to her lab, where a holographic simulation showed a Voraxian ship destroying an Earth vessel. Watch how they fight, she said, slowing down the footage. Perfect formations, textbook maneuvers. They fight exactly the same way every time. Ben studied the simulation. They're predictable. Exactly. They're stronger but rigid. We're weaker but flexible. Throughout nature, flexibility often beats strength. Across the facility, similar insights were emerging. Chief Engineer Kyle Bishop discovered that the Voraxian hull material, while nearly impervious to energy weapons, had a surprising vulnerability to old-fashioned explosive devices. Technology the Voraxians considered too primitive to be a threat. In another lab, Dr. Diane Foster found that the alien sensor systems operated on specific frequencies. With the right adjustments, Earth ships could create false readings, making one ship appear to be in many places at once. General Nash moved from team to team, collecting these discoveries. At night, she studied Earth's military history: guerrilla fighters defeating conventional armies, smaller forces defeating larger ones through clever tactics. Admiral Moore joined her one evening as she reviewed the plans for modifying Earth's 3 champion vessels. Do you really think we can win this? He asked quietly. Nash looked up from her work. I think we can surprise them. The Varaxians expect us to fight according to their rules, using strategies they understand. We won't. And if we lose? Then, we lose knowing we gave everything we had. She gestured to the star map showing human colonies. But humans are adaptable. Even if Earth falls, some of us will survive hidden among the stars, and one day we'll take back what's ours. Moore nodded. 1 month down, 2 to go. As he left, Nash turned back to her plans. The Varaxians had given humanity 3 months to prepare for defeat. Instead, humans were using that time to do what they had always done when faced with impossible odds. They were changing the rules of the game. The day aliens discovered why you never challenge humans. Part 3. The final month before the proving passed quickly. The 3 champion vessels selected to represent humanity were almost ready. What had once been ordinary Alliance warships had been transformed into something new, something the Varaxians would never expect. Commander Linda Hayes stood in the hangar bay of the Persistence, the first of the 3 vessels. Engineers swarmed around the ship making last-minute adjustments. Linda had been selected to pilot the Persistence in the first challenge, direct combat against a Varaxian warship. Are you nervous? Asked Admiral Moore, joining her. Linda nodded. I'd be crazy not to be. That Varaxian ship is twice our size with 10 times our firepower. True. But remember what General Nash says. We're not fighting their way, Linda finished with a small smile. On the other side of the hangar, Captain Greg Daniels inspected his ship, the Defiance. He would face the second challenge, defending against a Varaxian boarding party. Unlike Linda, who was a career military officer, Greg had been a civilian ship captain before the crisis. How's it coming along? He asked Chief Engineer Kyle Bishop. Kyle wiped sweat from his forehead. The modifications are at 95%. The nanomachines are integrated throughout the ship. Once activated, they can reconfigure internal spaces in seconds. Greg nodded, trying to hide his worry. His crew was made up mostly of engineers and scientists rather than soldiers. They would have to rely on brains rather than brawn. In the third bay, Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter and Dr. Sofia Martinez supervised the final preparations on the Resolve. Their challenge would test navigation and technological adaptation, supposedly the Varaxians' greatest strengths. The power conservation systems are in place, Sofia said, checking her tablet. We can reduce our energy signature by 98% when needed. Ben ran his hand along the ship's hull. Let's hope it's enough. The day before departure, General Nash called all 3 crews together for a final briefing. They gathered in the main auditorium of the Innovation Center. Tomorrow you leave for Proxima Centauri to face the Varaxian proving, she began. The eyes of every human in the solar system will be watching. She walked slowly across the stage, making eye contact with key crew members. The Varaxians believe this is just a formality, a ritual to prove their superiority before they conquer us. They expect us to fight conventionally and lose conventionally. She smiled, and there was something fierce in it. But there's something the Varaxians don't understand about humans. Throughout our history, we've faced extinction many times, ice ages, plagues, world wars. And each time we survived not because we were the strongest species, but because we were the most adaptable. She pressed a button, and the screen behind her showed images from Earth's past. Primitive humans using tools to hunt animals many times their size. Ancient armies using clever tactics to defeat larger forces. Modern examples of innovation overcoming seemingly impossible challenges. The Varaxians evolved as pack hunters with rigid hierarchies. They follow rules. They respect strength. And they cannot imagine victory coming from anything else. Nash gestured to the 3 ships visible through the large windows. Those ships represent humanity's greatest strength. Our ability to think differently, to adapt, to change the rules when the game is rigged against us. After the speech, crews returned to their vessels for final preparations. On the Persistence, Commander Hayes reviewed the asteroid field strategy one last time. The thousands of tiny thrusters had been secretly placed weeks ago, ready to alter the trajectories of key asteroids at her command. On the Defiance, Captain Daniels walked through the corridors that would soon change shape to confuse and trap Varaxian borders. The nanomachines hummed softly in the walls, floors and ceilings, invisible but ready. And on the Resolve, Ben and Sophia ran final simulations of their passive navigation approach, using minimal power to ride the natural currents of space, rather than forcing their way through like the Varaxians would. As night fell on Earth for the last time before the proving, the 3 ships prepared for launch. Families said tearful goodbyes. Some would never see each other again. In her office, General Nash received an unexpected visitor, Dr. Alan Russo. "I've completed my analysis of the Varaxian psychology," he said, placing a tablet on her desk. "I thought you should see it before the ships leave." Nash read through the report, her expression growing more concerned. "Are you certain about this?" Russo nodded. "The Varaxians literally cannot process defeat by what they consider an inferior species. Their brains aren't wired for it. If we win, their reaction could be extreme. Meaning they might choose to destroy themselves and us, rather than accept that they were beaten by a lesser species." Nash sighed. "So even if we win, we could still lose." "There is one possibility," Russo said. "Their rigid hierarchy means everything to them. If we could convince their leadership that our victory was honorable somehow, they might be able to accept it." "And how do we do that?" "I'm not sure yet, but I'll keep working on it." After Russo left, Nash stared out her window at the 3 ships. So much depended on them now. Morning came, and the launch countdown began. Thousands gathered to watch, while billions more viewed from screens around the solar system. Commander Hayes took her position on the bridge of the Persistence. All systems ready, preparing for launch. Captain Daniels settled into his command chair on the Defiance. Crew secured, standing by. Lieutenant Commander Carter and Dr. Martinez completed their final checks on the Resolve. Navigation systems online. Ready when you are. General Nash spoke to all 3 ships from Mission Control. Remember your training. Remember your strategies. But most importantly, remember that you carry the hopes of humanity with you. No pressure. A few nervous laughs sounded across the communication channels. "When humans first looked at the stars," Nash continued, "we dreamed of meeting other intelligent life. We hoped for friendship, for an exchange of knowledge and culture. The Varaxians have offered us something else, a test of our right to exist." She paused, then her voice strengthened. "Show them who we are. Show them why throughout our bloody and difficult history humans have always found a way to survive. Show them why you never challenge humans." The countdown reached 0. With a roar of engines, the 3 ships rose into the blue sky, carrying, with them, humanity's innovative response to an impossible challenge. The proving awaited. The day aliens discovered why you never challenge humans. Part 4. The 3 human ships arrived at the Proxima Centauri system after a week of travel. A massive Varaxian fleet waited for them. At the center floated 3 special warships. The champions chosen to face humanity, and the proving commander Linda Hayes felt her heart race as she guided the Persistence toward the designated meeting point. The main Varaxian ship was enormous, easily twice the size of her vessel. Its hull gleamed with that strange shifting material that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "This is Commander Hayes of the Earth vessel Persistence," she transmitted. "We are ready for the first trial." The response came quickly. "This is War Leader Krastor of the Inevitable Victory. Your presence is acknowledged. The combat trial will begin when you reach the asteroid field. Only 1 ship will leave." Linda took a deep breath. "Acknowledged." Proceeding to the starting position. As the Persistence moved toward the asteroid belt, Linda addressed her crew. "Remember the plan. They expect a direct fight. We won't give them one." Miles away, Captain Greg Daniels and the crew of the Defiance watched nervously. Their trial would come second. The ship's internal sensors showed the nanomachines were functioning perfectly, ready to transform the vessel into a maze at Greg's command. On the Resolve, Ben Carter and Sofia Martinez monitored the energy output of their ship, keeping it at minimal levels. Their strategy for the third trial depended on conserving power. The first trial began with a signal from the Varaxian command ship. The inevitable victory immediately powered up its weapons systems and charged toward the Persistence. The human vessel turned and fled into the asteroid field. Cowardice, the Varaxian commander broadcast. As expected from an inferior species. Linda ignored the taunt. Tactical, are the asteroids in position? Yes, Commander. All microthrusters are responding, awaiting your command. Linda studied the tactical display. The Varaxian ship was pursuing them deeper into the field, its superior weapons easily destroying any asteroids in its path. Now, she ordered. Across the asteroid field, thousands of tiny thrusters activated simultaneously. They had been placed, weeks earlier by unmanned probes, each capable of slightly altering the trajectory of an asteroid. Individually, the change was minor. Together, they created a cascading effect. The first few redirected asteroids struck others, which hit still more. Within minutes, a chain reaction was underway. The Varaxian ship found itself surrounded by a rapidly converging swarm of space rocks. "What is this?" demanded war leader Krastor as his ship's weapons struggled to destroy the incoming asteroids. For every one they vaporized, 3 more appeared. Linda guided the Persistence through a narrow gap between 2 massive asteroids. This is how humans fight when we're outgunned. We use the environment. The inevitable victory's shields began to fail under the constant impacts. Its weapon systems overheated from continuous firing. When a particularly large asteroid crushed one of its engine pods, the Varaxian commander made an unprecedented decision. "We yield this contest," he transmitted, his voice filled with confusion and anger. "This is not honorable combat." "No," Linda replied. "It's effective combat." The Varaxian observers were visibly agitated as they prepared for the second trial. Their rigid hierarchy couldn't process what had happened. An inferior species using the environment as a weapon? It made no sense to them. The second trial began as a Varaxian boarding party docked with the Defiance. Captain Greg Daniels and his crew waited inside. Most had hidden themselves, leaving the ship appearing mostly empty. The Varaxian Marines, towering figures in advanced armor, moved through the corridors with perfect discipline. Their leader, Sub-Commander Vexnar, directed them with hand signals. "Spread out, secure the engine room and bridge, the humans are hiding." As the Varaxians separated into smaller groups, Greg activated the nano-machines. Throughout the ship, walls shifted. Corridors changed direction. Doors appeared where none had been before, while others vanished. "What is happening?" demanded Vexnar as his team suddenly found themselves in a dead end that hadn't existed moments before. In the control room, Greg watched the confused aliens on monitor screens. "Selective gravity plating, activate." Suddenly, different sections of the ship had different gravity fields. In one corridor, Varaxian Marines floated helplessly. In another, they were crushed to the floor by triple Earth gravity. "This is not how ships function," shouted Vexnar, trying to gather his scattered forces. The Varaxians eventually fought their way to what they thought was the bridge. They found only a holographic projection of Captain Daniels. "Looking for me?" the hologram asked. "I'm afraid we've changed the rules." At that moment, the real Greg Daniels and a small team of engineers, having slipped past the confused Varaxians, boarded the alien vessel. Using the distraction of the morphing ship, they quickly reached the Varaxian craft's control center. "This is Captain Daniels," he transmitted to the Varaxian command ship. "We have control of your boarding vessel. Your Marines are trapped in our ship with no way out unless you acknowledge our victory." The Varaxian observers were now in disarray. 2 defeats? It was unthinkable. Some argued for destroying both ships immediately. Others demanded the trials continue. After heated debate, they reluctantly acknowledged the human victory in the second trial. "The final trial will determine the ultimate outcome," they announced. The third trial was set in a dangerous region of space filled with radiation, gravitational anomalies, and solar flares. The challenge was to navigate through this hazardous zone to reach a specific point. The Varaxian Pathfinder ship, the Swift Conquest, powered up its engines to maximum. Its shields glowed brightly as it pushed directly through the dangers, forcing its way through by sheer power. In contrast, the Resolve drifted into the zone with minimal power. Ben Carter watched as the Varaxians pulled ahead. "Shouldn't we increase speed?" asked a nervous crew member. "They're getting far ahead of us." "No," said Sofia Martinez calmly. "They're doing exactly what we expected, using brute force." Ben nodded. "And wasting energy they'll need later." The Resolve moved slowly, using the natural currents of space to carry it forward. Where the Varaxians fought against the gravitational pulls, the humans used them, slingshotting around dangerous areas with minimal power use. "Their shields are already at 60%, Sophia noted, watching the readings of the Varaxian ship. "And the worst is yet to come." As if on cue, the nearby star erupted in a massive solar flare. The radiation wave sped toward both ships. The Varaxians, having already used much of their power fighting through the zone, found their shields failing under this new assault. The Swift Conquest suffered severe damage. The Resolve, having conserved its energy, activated its shields briefly, just long enough to weather the flare. Then it continued its passive approach. When the human ship reached the finish point hours ahead of the damaged Varaxian vessel, the alien observers fell completely silent. 3 trials, 3 human victories. Using methods the Varaxians could not comprehend, the very foundations of their belief system had been shaken. If humans, a technologically inferior species, could defeat them, what did that mean for the Varaxian Empire? As the 3 human ships regrouped, a message came from the Varaxian command vessel. For the first time, it was not hostile or demanding. It was something no human had expected to hear from the arrogant aliens. "We request a meeting to discuss terms." The proving had ended. Now came the most dangerous part, helping the Varaxians understand what had happened without provoking them into a suicidal final attack. Humanity's innovative solutions had won the battles. Now diplomacy would determine if they had truly won the war. The day aliens discovered why you never challenge humans. Part 5. The meeting took place on the 4th planet of the Proxima Centauri system. It was a small, rocky world with a thin atmosphere. The humans set up a dome structure with a neutral environment, where both species could breathe comfortably. General Olivia Nash led the human delegation. She had arrived from Earth as soon as news of the victories reached home. With her came Ambassador Eric Miller, Dr. Alan Russo, and the 3 ship captains who had won the trials. The Varaxian delegation was led by Grand Admiral Zex Kaltor, who had not left his flagship in 50 years. His presence alone showed how seriously the aliens were taking this meeting. 4 other high-ranking Varaxians accompanied him, their postures stiff and formal. As the 2 groups faced each other across the conference table, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. "You have defeated our champions in the proving," Grand Admiral Zex Kaltor stated. His voice was deep and gravelly, even through the translation system. "This has never happened before." General Nash nodded. "We fought to survive." "You cheated," the Grand Admiral said, his mandibles clicking in agitation. "None of your victories were achieved through superior strength or technology." Commander Hayes stiffened at this accusation, but Nash held up a hand to keep her calm. "We achieved them through superior thinking," Nash replied evenly. "You challenged humans. You never specified how we should fight. Your tactics had no honor," said another Varaxian War Council member Drakven. "Using the environment as a weapon, changing your ship's internal structure, drifting through space rather than conquering it." Nash leaned forward slightly. "That's the lesson you need to learn about humans, Grand Admiral. We don't fight fair. We fight to win." She gestured to Dr. Russo, who activated a holographic display showing Earth's history. "Throughout our existence, we've faced predators stronger and faster than us. We've survived ice ages and asteroid impacts. We've overcome plagues and our own self-destructive tendencies." "How?" asked the Grand Admiral, genuine curiosity evident in his voice. "By adapting," Nash said simply. "By using our minds to overcome our limitations. When we couldn't outrun prey, we created tools to bring them down from a distance. When we couldn't survive the cold, we harnessed fire. When we couldn't fly, we built machines that could." Ambassador Miller stepped forward with a data crystal. "This contains historical records of human warfare and innovation. Study it before you decide to challenge us again." The Grand Admiral took the crystal, examining it curiously. "I will review this information." Dr. Russo watched the Varaxians closely, noting their body language. Things could still go very wrong if the aliens couldn't process their defeat. "We have a proposal," Nash continued. "A genuine peace between our species. Not as conqueror and conquered, but as civilizations with different strengths. The Varaxian Empire has never negotiated with another species as equals," said War Council member Drakven, sounding offended by the very idea. "Then perhaps it's time for the Empire to adapt as well," suggested Ambassador Miller. The Grand Admiral was silent for a long moment, studying the humans. Finally, he spoke. "Your species has never stopped fighting, has it? Even when at peace, you prepare for war. Even when facing extinction, you innovate. That's what makes us human," Nash replied. Another long silence followed as the Varaxians conferred among themselves in their own language. The translators were turned off, giving them privacy. Dr. Russo leaned close to Nash. "This is the critical moment. Their entire society is built around dominance hierarchies. They need to find a way to process this defeat without losing face." Finally, the Grand Admiral turned back to the humans. "We propose a new relationship. The Varaxian Empire will recognize human space as sovereign territory. We will establish trade and cultural exchange, but not military alliance." "And in return," Nash asked cautiously, "you will share your adaptability. Teach us this creativity that allowed you to defeat our champions." Nash glanced at Ambassador Miller, who nodded slightly. "We accept your terms, Grand Admiral," she said. "We will begin cultural and educational exchanges immediately." The formalities took several hours to complete. By the time the meeting ended, the first steps toward peace had been established. It was fragile, but it was a start. As the human delegation prepared to return to their ships, the Grand Admiral approached Nash privately. "There is something I must understand," he said. "When we threatened your extinction, you did not surrender or cower. You did not even hate us, you simply solved the problem." Nash smiled slightly. "That's the human way." "It is impressive," the Grand Admiral admitted. "My species has conquered 100 worlds, but we have never encountered anything like humans. Let's hope we can be allies rather than enemies going forward," Nash replied. 2 weeks later, the human ships returned to Earth as heroes. Crowds cheered as the crews of the Persistence, Defiance, and Resolve stepped onto home soil again. Their innovative tactics had saved humanity from extinction. In the months that followed, news of the human victory spread throughout the galaxy. On distant worlds, other spacefaring species received reports about the defeat of the supposedly invincible Varaxian Empire. Many had suffered under Varaxian expansion. Some had been planning to challenge the Empire themselves. All were shocked that a relatively young species had succeeded where others had failed. On Earth, museums displayed models of the 3 champion ships and the unusual modifications that had led to victory. Schools taught children about the proving and the importance of creative thinking. The lesson was clear. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't physical power or advanced technology, but the ability to adapt and find unexpected solutions. 5. Years after the proving, a Varaxian cultural center opened in Geneva. Inside, visitors could learn about the Empire's history and customs. The most popular exhibit was called The Lesson, a detailed account of how the Varaxians had learned to value adaptability and creativity by challenging humans. The final display showed 2 quotes side by side. The first was from Grand Admiral Zexcaltor. In our 1,000 years of conquest, we never understood that true strength lies not in power alone, but in the ability to change. The second quote was from General Olivia Nash. Throughout history, humans have survived by finding new ways to solve problems. The day we stop adapting is the day we begin to die. As humanity expanded further into space, making new allies and facing new challenges, they carried with them the reputation earned at the proving, a species that should never be underestimated, no matter how outmatched they might appear. Throughout the galaxy, one truth became universally acknowledged. You never challenge humans unless you're prepared to face the full force of their creativity, adaptability, and relentless determination to survive.